Welcome back, grade 9s. Today we're going to look at the concept of demand. Now, those of you who use the Oxford Head Start EMS textbook, you will find this unit on page 80 if you want to go through the theory. And we will also be discussing a little bit on the whiteboard, and then I also have some slides that will assist you in understanding this concept. Now, with this unit, we're going to look at a couple of things. It's called the price theory, and we're going to look at the concepts of demand, supply, and we're going to find equilibrium point, and then we'll also be looking at changes in demand and supply. So this is what is lying ahead for us in this unit. Now let's start off by asking the question, what is demand in the economic sense of the word? Demand is that number of items, can be a product or a service, that consumers will buy at a specific price. Please note, they are prepared to pay for it. So it's not just, oh, I think I might want that. They want to buy it at that specific price. And that's important to know if you're going to have a business one day, to know what the demand for your specific product will be at a specific price, so that we can meet the consumer's preferences as well. Now, how do we work with this concept of demand? I'm going to show you how to plot it on a graph, to draw the demand curve, and then after that we'll move on to supply and a few other concepts as well. So we're going to do it here on the whiteboard, and I'm going to use my ever popular example of Twiggles chips. If you're in my school, you'll know it very well. There's different flavors. The only one that I've currently have with me in lockdown is the cheese flavor, but my students know it very well, and we're going to use that in order to show you how demand works and what the curve looks like. Now, first of all, hopefully you all have got maths at this stage, and you know how to draw graphs, but let's just do it here on the board with you. So when we need to do or plot the demand curve, we need obviously a vertical axis and a horizontal axis, the Y and the X axis. Now on the vertical axis, we always plot or indicate the price in rands. On the horizontal axis, we're going to indicate the quantity that is demanded by the consumer for this specific product. Okay, and then very important, you now need to indicate the price and the quantity. Obviously, you will use a ruler so that your increments and measurements are correct. This needs to be done so that you can get a clear picture of what is going on here. Now, always we start where these two lines meet, like it looks like a capital L, that will be 0.00 rand and 0 quantity. Now let's have a look at my Twiggles chips. I'm going to use just increments of 1 rand. So let's try and do it more or less equal. 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's do the same here. I'm going to do it in 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe 50. So this will be 1 rand, 2 rand, 3 rand, 4 rand, 5 rand, 6 rand, 10 packets, 20 packets, 30 packets, 40 and 50 packets. Okay, so now let's use my class. One grade 9 class that comes to me for EMS, and they want to buy Twiggles chips from me. Okay, so now tell me quickly, you know that we normally sell it in our school for 5 rand a packet. Now let's say in a class of 30 students, at 5 rand, 20 students are willing to pay 5 rand for a packet of Twiggles chips. So I'm going to write it over here. So for 5 rand, 20 students are willing to pay 5 rand to buy this packet of chips. Now let's say I think, okay, listen, maybe I just want to make it a little bit cheaper, and now for the next week I'm going to sell this same packet of chips but at 4 rand. All right, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we'll still only have 20 out of the 30 students in the class who will buy this packet of chips? No, definitely not. So some of the students who previously maybe thought it's a bit more expensive, or maybe they didn't have R5, now at R4, they are prepared to buy that packet of chips. So let's say the whole class will now buy that packet of chips. So at R4, 30 students are demanding a packet of Twinkles chips. Okay, and now I've had nice sales after a week, and I decide, listen, we're actually doing this for charity. We want to raise a bit of funds for one of our charitable organizations that the school supports. I think I'm going to increase the price rather to R6. Okay, so now the same packet of chips, nothing has changed, but now I'm charging R6 for this packet of chips. What do you think? Are we still going to have 30 or 20 students wanting to buy this product now at R6? No, many of the students who just have R5 to buy this packet of chips are now going to say, well, I can't afford it anymore. I don't have that extra R1. I can't buy it. There will still be a few who say, listen, we love this chips. There's lots of chips. It's 100 grams. And I'm still going to pay R6 for it, but there will definitely be fewer students. So let's say now only 10 in the class of 30, only 10 students are prepared to pay R6 for this packet of chips. And guys, this is exactly what demand is. Okay, so let's plot our schedule, our information on our graph to get the demand curve. So let's start there at R6. At R6, how many students were prepared to pay for this packet of chips or buy this packet of chips? Only 10. So what do is we find the price and we find the quantity, and there where these two meet, we make a little dot or a circle. So at R6, only 10 students demanded a packet of Twinkles chips. Okay, next one. At R5, how many students then wanted the packet of chips? 20. So we do the same. R5, 20. More or less over here. Obviously yours will be done properly in your book with a ruler. Good. So at R5, 20 students demanded this packet of chips. They were prepared to pay R5 for it. Last one. At R4, now it became quite cheap. So at R4, 30 students said they wanted to buy the packet of chips. So more or less over here. Okay, good. And grade 9s, now I've plotted the individual points. What we do then is we connect the dots, right? And that will be your demand curve. We usually indicate the top and the bottom, or the ends, to indicate that this is my, or we label the curve, and this is my demand curve. Okay, so now you can think for yourself, maybe if it's R3, then it will probably be about 40 students and so on. But with the information that we had, we could plot the demand curve. Now, something interesting that you can see is that it's got a negative slope or a negative slant. Right, so keep that in mind. Now, from this, what can you tell me? What do you think is the relationship between price and quantity demanded according to the law of demand? Think a little bit about it. If you want to pause and then give me an answer, that's also fine. Right, what does the law of demand say? The law of demand states that the higher the price, the lower the demand. And the lower the price, the higher the demand. We indicate it like that. I can somewhere write it here. The higher the price, then the lower the demand. The lower the price, then the higher the demand. Now this we say that the law of demand has an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded, and that is what it means. When prices go up, the demand for that product goes down. When the prices go down, the demand for that product goes up. Okay, now this is true if we only factor in changes in price. Okay, so this works, this law is true only if price changes. All other factors stay the same. Now, what are the other factors? You can also pause the video again and then think a little bit for yourself. If everything else, if even the price stays the same, what of a specific product, what other factors could affect the demand for that product? Think a little bit. Right, let's think of a couple of different scenarios. First of all, what better example can we ask for at our current time where we sit with the corona pandemic? If people do not have money, for whatever reason, there's a change in the consumer's income, that will definitely have an effect on the demand for a specific product. So, let's say you're in my class. Every day, your mom gives you R5 to buy a packet of Twiggles chips, and then you come and buy. You part of my demand for the Twiggles chips. Now, all of a sudden, your mom loses her job. She gets laid off because the company that she works for cannot operate during this lockdown period. Your mom doesn't have income. So that means you won't have income. Can you now afford to buy the packet of chips? No, you'll probably have to make a sandwich or something at home. So if there's a change in consumer income, that can also affect the demand of a product or for a product, even if the price hasn't changed. Good. The next one. We shouldn't underestimate the power of advertising. Say now I go around, the rest of the school doesn't really know about the Twiggles chips that we sell. Only my grade 9s, because I teach them, I see them every day in class, they know about the chips. If I now go around and we make announcements over the intercom, or we put up some posters and more students get to know about the Twiggles chips, that's so nice, what do you think is going to happen to the demand for the product? Yes, it might increase. Exactly at still R5, for example, I haven't changed the price, but because we did some advertising, we might see an increase in the demand for the product. Good. The next one. The prices of other products can also influence the demand for a specific product. And there we look at two things, substitute products and complementary products. Now, say for example, if we think of, and also once again a good example nowadays is the petrol price. If the petrol price, for example, increases quite dramatically, it might have an effect on the demand for vehicles. Meaning for people wanting to buy vehicles, because they might consider the fact that petrol is so expensive that they can't afford to buy a vehicle. The opposite is currently true, especially in South Africa. The petrol price is dropping almost by the week. We've never expected that, and that we might then see an increase in vehicle sales when we're allowed to buy vehicles again. So complementary products, if the price of a product goes down, perhaps it might increase the demand for another product, a complementary product. Then we also look at substitute products, and there we always use the ever so popular butter and margarine example. If I like to buy butter and that's what I put on my bread, I will buy that, but at some stage butter's price might become very, very expensive, and then I might stop buying butter, and in its place I will substitute the butter for margarine. So what will happen, and I'm not the only one, there might be lots of consumers feeling the way I do, what will happen to the demand for margarine? The demand for margarine might increase, even though the price doesn't change at all. Right, and then we also look at things like fashion trends. You teenagers know that very well. One season something is very fashionable and everybody wants to buy it, and then the next season nothing changes. The price of that clothing item stays exactly the same, but it's not in fashion anymore. So what happens now? Even at that price, the demand drops. Nothing to do with the price, that there's a change in fashion or a change in consumer behavior. Another one that goes with fashion is then changes in taste or preferences by consumers. Some people might prefer, if they have money, to now start buying ready or made meals or prepared meals instead of going out to buy the individual grocery items. And that can have an effect on the demand of those items. Prices might not have changed, but because a consumer's preference or taste has changed, therefore we'll see a change in the demand. And then the last one is if consumers have an expectation that something might happen to the price of that product in the future, not now, but in the future. And that we can use, and for that example, we can use the Johannesburg Securities Exchange. Lots of people predict that the price of a specific share might increase or decrease in the future, and therefore they will buy or not buy a specific share. And that can have an influence on the quantity demanded. Nothing to do with the current price. It might stay exactly the same, but the consumer might prefer to either buy now more or less, depending on what they foresee for the future. Okay, grade 9. So this is just a short video on how the demand works, how we plot it on a graph, and what the slope or slant looks like, and how we actually deal with this concept of demand in the economy. In the next video, we will now look then at supply from the supplier's point of view. I hope this helped you a bit. There will be also activities attached that you can practice this on your own to see if you can also use information, schedules given to you, and then you can go and plot this information on a graph.